Hey everybody, Sean here from Board Paracord. Today we are going to be making this right here. This is made using a wood spool jig. And what this is it's also called a knitting spool. Okay, so to get started on this, this is what we call a wood spool jig. It's about 2 inches long, and it has a hole in the center, and it has 6 holes for your pins. And depending on how many pins you have in here, that's what's going to determine your pattern. So we're only going to be using 2 pins today for this pattern. We will be using a little bit of black microcord for the closure. I'll be using a fid or some sort of hook device, and I'll show you that in just a second. And you'll also need a lighter. Just the basic stuff today, other than this jig. This is the first time I've used one of these jigs on a video, so this will turn out pretty good, I think. The cool thing with doing a wood spool jig or knitting, this is also called a knitting spool. Cool thing with this is that you just keep weaving on here until you get to the desired length, and then you can stop. So the first thing that you need to do is get a piece of cord kind of like this in a bundle where you can pull off some as you go. I'm not sure how much cord this will use, but I can try to figure it out when we're all finished. So the first thing you gotta do is put the cord down through this hole, pull a little bit of cord out the back, and you're going to hold on to this cord kind of like this right there. Now this cord here is going to wrap around here a couple times. Let me try and see if I can adjust my camera down just a touch. One second here. And if you hear that thunder, that is right outside my window. It's storming here pretty good. Alright, so we've got our cord pulled through. I'm holding onto it here. You've got your working end here. What we're going to do is wrap it around just like that. Once you wrap it around, you want to cross your center line. And what I mean by center line is if you draw a line straight through the center of this pin, straight through the center of that's your center line. So after you wrap one, you're going to cross over that center line and wrap that way. And see how I crossed back over the center line going back? So it'll be just like that. Now, okay, so I like to hold my working end on the left side of my hand and this portion of it on the right side. And you want to keep tension on these. Now, to get started, you do these wraps, and like I said, you're going to wrap one way, cross the opposite way, and keep doing that. You're kind of doing like a figure 8 the whole time. Now you're not going to do anything until you have 2 of them stacked on top of each other, like this. See, I have the first one here, second one, and on the other side we have 1 and 2. And the reason for that is you have to have one, the bottom one, you're going to grab this bottom one here, you're going to flip it over this pin. So you're kind of going over top of this, leaving the top one, taking the bottom over, and that's what falls through the center there. And that's how you get your design. So what I have here is a microfid, a crochet hook. Works really well with this, but I don't have one of those right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick the bottom hook, or the bottom loop here, and I'm going to let some slack off of here so that I can get this first one. Oh, actually, you know what? I grabbed the wrong one. So it's actually this is the first one. The first one is always going to be the one that goes down through the spool. So that's this guy. And that just goes over top like that. And then you reach through and pull your slack out. Now after you flip one over, I like to go right back over it like that and put another pass on there. Or some people like to wait and flip 2 over at a time, like this. Flip it over, just like that. Pull down, and then do your passes. So you go, so this one you can see is on the right, so you want it to come off to the left, like this. Make sure you always want to have tension on this cord here, so it's always pulling down through the center. Alright, so we're going to wrap and wrap so that we have 2 stacked here and 2 stacked here. This is our first one, so we're going to, oh, and you're alternating. So if you did this one last, then you're going to do this one. It goes back and forth, back and forth. And when you're pulling this over, you want to make sure that that top one stays on there, this top one right here. You want to make sure that that one stays right where it's at. So once you flip one over, you want to make sure to pull that slack through. So we'll go back into this guy here. Flip this bottom one up and over. And it takes a little bit to get used to, but I promise you, halfway through this, it'll become very easy. Push these guys down. Just going right under this guy. Flipping it up and over that pin and pulling that slack out. Same thing on this side. Over the pin, pulling your cord down through the center. And you can see it's hard to see really, but you can see it's braiding or crocheting or weaving or whatever you would like to call it down there. So there's my 2. This was the first one, that was my second. Push those down, those are on top now. So we're going to grab this guy underneath, flip it up and over the pin, pull it down, next side, and pull it down. And we do our 2 wraps. Slide them down, get that little bit of slack out of there. Now as you pull these here, you can release a little bit of the slack through here to help you get it up over this pin. And you'll feel the cord kind of pull through your fingers here as you do it. Just make sure you pull that tight before you go to the next one. Get that over top. Just like that. Pull it tight. And you're just going to continue doing this. I'll probably have to do a video with 3 pins and another with 4 pins, and we'll see how this goes. I think this is going to turn out pretty good. And see, I wasn't paying attention, I messed up there. That was supposed to be the second one, but I did this one first, so we got to come back here and do this one first. The closer one is my first, and then the further one away is the second. There you go. Pull that guy down. Wrap, wrap, back through. Closest one, grab that bottom pin, or that bottom cord, pull it over, pull it down. Same thing up here. And I'm starting to feel this braid come through here on the bottom side, and you can start to see how it looks. I think this will make a nice bracelet. So yeah, like I was saying, you could do 6 pins on here, up to 6 pins. You could set it up for 3, 4. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody do 5 pin. Whoops, I just did it again because I'm not paying attention. I did the wrong side again. So let me tighten everything back up to where it was. Alright, do the close one first. Pull down. Further one away. Pull it down. There we go. Just like that. Well, I am going to finish this guy up. And like I said, you can do this as far as you want to go. You can just keep pulling cord off of your bundle until you get to the desired length. And then once I come back, I'll show you how to pull this off of here, get this knotted up, knotted up, um, get it tied and finished. But you can see this is a nice little pattern here. It's almost like a braid. And then we'll get this whole bracelet figured out and finished up. Okay, so as you can see, I have quite a bit of the weave here coming out the bottom, and basically you can keep going because this is a quick release, and I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. So I'm going to actually make this a little bit longer than what I plan on using, and I'll show you how you can undo it real easily. So now that we're at this point, what I'm going to do is just slide these off of each pin, like that, and like this, and then pull everything up through the wood spool jig. So here's our finished item. You want to make sure that you don't undo any here, right here, because what will happen is you can, like I was saying, this is a quick release, so you could pull this. Technically, you could keep pulling it, and it would keep going and going and going. I don't want it to keep going and going and going, so what I'm going to do is figure out how big I want this bracelet to be, which I think I want to go about right there. So I'm going to cut this just a little ways back, like this, and singe both of these ends real fast, just so that they don't fray on me. There we go. And you've got two loops here, and to make this so it doesn't keep undoing itself, run your cord through the opposite loop, and then go back through the other one. And then that kind of pulls everything together like that, and it creates a spot, like a knot right at the end, like a stopper knot. Now this side already has kind of like a stopper knot going, so we're going to take advantage of that. The next step, we're going to use the two center strands as the locking part of this. So we're going to do around the two center strands, we're going to do a little section with microcord as a Salomon weave. So we're not going to need much, probably about a foot of microcord is more than enough. And we'll just singe these guys real quick. There we go. Cool them down. Alright, we'll get that microcord out of the way. And to do this part, it's just your basic cobra. You're going to have your two center cords in the middle here, and your microcord wrapped around the back. Take your right cord, create a loop on the right, cross over your center cords. To get this started, it's a little tricky, but once you get it, you're good. Take your left cord over that one, go around your two center cords, and bring your cord up through the loop on the right. And it will tie a knot right around those two cords, just like that. Now with the cord that you went over the top with, that's the same cord that's going to go over the top again. Just like that. Take your right cord over, around the back, and up through that cord. Just like that. And you can see we're creating a Salomon knot. Same cord that goes over top every time. So we're going over top of the center cords, left cord over that one, behind the back, and up through the loop, and pull it tight. And you want this to be pretty tight, but loose enough to where you can still pull these cords through. Alright, we're going to do this a few more times, probably 3 more times real quick. There we go, pull that tight. That was one. And it looks like 1 foot's going to be the good amount of cord to use for this part of it. That was 2. Maybe we'll do 1 extra. We want this portion to be Kind of decorative on its own. So yeah, we'll go a little bit further. We're going to try and use up all this micro cord without it becoming impossible to weave the last little bit. So I think that was 6 or 7. And it's really up to you, it's personal preference. And I think we're going to finish it right there. So that was 8, I believe. Okay. Now, what I like to do is to finish my cobras on the same side. So hopefully I can keep this all in the shot. But I'm going to loosen this last one up. So I have the cord that went through here already. I like to take this one across and go through that same loop. Try to do this so that it's all in focus. We'll go down through there. And see, this one's going through there, so now we can tighten it up. Pulling on both of these. And now we have our paracord coming through on just one side. So once that's done, you can cut this and we can melt this to fuse it. Grab your smoothing tool, press that in there. You can see it locks that in there pretty nicely. Alright, so this is what we have to figure out now. So we have our bracelet. Let me back up just a little bit here. And we want to, that's pretty tight, so what we want to be able to do here is to be able to close the bracelet up all the way like this. But you want to have enough of this cord coming through the Solomon or the cobra part of it so that you can get your hand through here and then be able to pull it tight. So I think that's about where I want it. So if you have a pen, this would be a good spot to use it. I don't see a pen here. So what I'm going to do is just cut both of these here and here. I'll do one at a time, but this is going to be where the end of the cord is, so that it doesn't pull through the cobra to get any bigger. This should be plenty big enough to get this on your wrist, and then you can pull it tight with both of these. So we're going to cut this guy about here. Get that out of the way. And I'm going to pull this through. I might have tied this cobra a little too tight. Well, the plan for this is to basically melt this down into a ball of nylon so that it cannot pull back through. And the way that you do this is do it very slowly. And what will happen is you'll have yourself a nice little ball of nylon, melted nylon, right at the end. And as long as it's not on fire, that will harden into a hard little ball, and it won't be able to be pulled through there. Now you could also take your smoothing tool and press on there, but what might happen is you might end up with a sharp edge around it, and it might kind of irritate your wrist. I think that's pretty good. Now we just move to the other side and do the same thing. Cut that about there. Those scissors are so sharp. There we go. And we'll just let that cool for a second. And we're pretty much done. I am going to pull this tight so you can see exactly what we did. I would say out of this 100-foot bundle that we have here, I used, I don't know, about 10 feet maybe. I'm looking at this knot right here, And I think that if you were to back this cord out before you did this section of it, if you backed it out a couple times, you could actually clean this end up a little bit. Um, it doesn't look too good the way that it is now, but you could definitely back it up a little bit, and I think you could figure that out pretty easily. All right, this feels good. I don't think that's going to pull through the Cobra because I have that nice and tight. But you now have these little grippy things on the end here that you can pull, and that'll tighten up the bracelet once it's on your wrist. And then you have kind of like a decorative sort of Cobra thing here. But yeah, that's the wood spool jig in a nutshell. Um, it comes and I made these. I made all of these. I made about 300 of these in the course of 3 days. Um, so these are handmade by me. Um, comes with these 6 pins, 6 holes, and nice little jig here. But I hope you guys like this. I will be doing another video on this, maybe with 2 colors or 4 pins and 2 colors. We'll see. Um, but yeah, let me know in the comments how you like this, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/paracordon. Or if you want to buy the wood spool jig, we have these on our website, boardparacord.com. Just search wood spool jig, and everything else you need is on there as well. And until next time, paracord on. Do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button to your left. There's other great videos all the time, and there's a few to the right side of the screen, and you can also buy paracord at our site with the link at the bottom left. Thank you again for watching.